Hello, and welcome to another Field Ascend video. In this walkthrough, I'll show you how to create preventative maintenance, or PM, inspection check sheets. First, go to Setup, then open PM Inspection Checks. This is where you manage the PM inspection options for your account. At the top, you'll see settings such as auto pause rules, the next PM inspection number, defect tracking, carry forward defects, and defect severities. We'll cover defect severities in more detail in another video. By default, they are already set up here, but you can rename them and color code them like a traffic light system: low, medium, and high, for example. Back on the check setup page, scroll down and you'll see the inspection checks already created on this demo account. For this video, we're going to create a new one. Select Create PM Inspection Check, and Field Ascend gives you two options. Today we'll use the Simple Builder. We'll cover the Advanced Builder in a separate video. The Builder opens with some default settings. The title starts as PM Check Sheet, but we'll rename it. For this example, I'll call it Test Check Sheet 1, then save it. Down the left-hand side, you'll see the main configuration options for this check sheet. You can set the theme, choose a color code, and select which equipment types this check sheet should automatically apply to. For this example, we'll link the check sheet to an HVAC system. Next, we have the color and header options. This is where you can control what appears at the top of the check sheet, such as the company name, address, phone number, email address, and other header details. Further down, you can add site details if you want them included. You can turn each section on or off, and you can also reorder the sections using the up and down arrows. That lets you control the layout of the final inspection document. For the customer or client details, you can include fields such as the customer name and account reference. For the equipment section, Field Ascend can pull through the details for the equipment being inspected, depending on the equipment type and the fields you use, such as QR codes, serial numbers, or other equipment information. For now, we'll leave this as the default equipment table. You can also choose whether to show a result summary. When this is enabled, the check sheet can display an overall result, such as pass or fail. There are rules that let you define the criteria for those results. There is also a defect summary section, which can be turned on or off. For this demo, I'll turn the result summary off so we can focus on the defect summary. Here, you can see the defect severities, and you can group defects by severity. This makes it easier for technicians to record and review any issues they find while completing the maintenance checks. Now let's set up the questions for the check sheet. First, add a new section. I'll call this section Maintenance Checks. This gives us a clear heading, so the engineer can see that the questions underneath are part of the main maintenance inspection. Once the section has been added, we can start adding questions underneath it. For the first question, we need to choose the answer type. Field Ascend gives you several options, including yes or no answers, checkboxes, numbers, photos, signatures, and other response types. For this example, we'll use a simple yes or no answer. Once yes or no is selected, Field Ascend shows the options for that response type. You can also control defect logging for each answer, depending on how you want the check sheet to behave. For this question, I'll enter, is the equipment safe to operate? In this example, if the answer is yes, we don't need the engineer to log a defect. If the answer is no, we may want the technician to record more detail. You can make the defect entry required, or you can leave it optional. For this demo, I'll set it as optional. I'll also set the not applicable option as optional. You can now see the first question has been created. From here, you can continue adding questions in the same way. There is also a required toggle for the question itself. If you turn this on, the engineer must answer the question before completing the check sheet. That requirement applies when the check sheet is completed in the app or through the web portals. You also have a not applicable toggle, which can be switched on or off depending on whether that answer should be available. The yes and no labels can also be renamed, so you can match the wording to your own process. There are branching options as well. For example, if the engineer answers no, you could show an additional follow-up question. We won't build that out in this demonstration, but it's there if you need more detailed logic. Next, let's add a second question. This time, we'll use number as the answer type. This is useful for readings or measurements. For the question text, I'll enter: record the operating pressure, temperature, or meter reading. That gives the engineer a simple number field to complete. You can mark this question as required if needed, and you can also turn on defect tracking for the question. If defect tracking is enabled, the engineer can record a defect against that reading as well. Now let's add one more question. This one will be used for an evidence photo. As well as taking general job photos, engineers can also take photos directly inside the equipment maintenance check sheet. That keeps the photo linked to the specific inspection question, which makes the final record much clearer. For the answer type, select Photo. You can then choose the maximum number of photos allowed. For this example, I'll set the maximum to 2. With those example questions in place, we'll save the check sheet. Now we've created the check sheet with 3 example questions, and we've saved it. Next, we'll look at how it appears on a job. I already have a job created here for this example, job number 4474. When we open that job, the PM check has already been added to the equipment. You can also add it from this section by selecting from the list of available PM checks. Here, I've added test check sheet 1, which is the check sheet we just created. Once it has been added, it appears on the job. If we open it from the admin portal, we can see the check is available. The equipment details appear at the top, and when we scroll down, we can see the maintenance questions we added earlier. The first question is the equipment safe to operate? The answers are yes, no, and not applicable. We also have the operating pressure, temperature, or meter reading question, and we enabled defect tracking on that one. If a defect is logged, the defect fields appear. We also have the photo question available underneath. Now let's look at the same check on the Engineer app. This is the PM check page in the app. We can see the yes, no, and not applicable options. If we press no, the defect option appears. When we select Report Defect, we can choose the severity, high, medium, or low. For this example, I'll add a medium test defect, then save it. The check now has a defect recorded against it. Next, I'll enter a number for the reading, 22. We also have the option to report a defect against this answer, but we won't use that for this demo. For the photo question, the engineer can add photos either from the gallery or directly from the camera. I'll choose one from the gallery for now. We can now complete this PM check in the app. When we press complete, the result syncs back to the server. Now we'll close the app and return to the office side. If we refresh the job page, we can see that the check results and defect information have synced back onto the job. From here, we can generate a PDF. The completed checks come through, the photo is included, and the defect is shown on the document. Back on the job, we can also see the PM check defects listed there. We can select those defects and take the next action, such as creating a quote or creating a follow-up job to rectify the issues. And there we go. We created a check sheet, added it to a job, completed the maintenance check on the app, synced the results back to the server, and generated the check sheet as a PDF. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.